Very good afternoon and welcome to Potting with Shellon. And today we are going to be potting two desert roses. This one that I would have cut, taken out of the pot last week and done some severe root pruning to it. As you can see, I left it since last week to dry out, and I want to create an aerial root spread. So what I did, I put some styrofoam to the bottom of it to discourage roots from growing in the center, and I carved grooves, for the roots to grow in a particular spread, a root spread, a radial root spread, right? So we have this, and when we're finished with this, we're going to just pot up this cutting that I made from a mother tree, right? So this is a mature branch, a mature enough branch that I would have cut and left to dry for a few days. It has been cut since last weekend, so it has dried quite significantly. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut around, as you can see, I'm going to cut around the edge, right? I'm going to cut around the edge and dip it in a little bit of rooting hormone, right? So I'm going to dip it in some rooting hormone, and then I'm going to pot it. I'm going to water it slightly, right? And with that, I'm going to place it in a nice shaded area. As you can see in my background there, I don't know if you see me well enough in the background there. You will see some of my other desert roses and stuff. So I'm going to place it in a nice shaded area and give it a little wetting every now and again, just to keep the soil moist, so that it would encourage the roots to grow, basically. Alright, so it's a very, very windy Sunday. Very, very windy Sunday here in Trinidad and Tobago. And I have my dirt, which is topsoil, right? My composition of dirt or soil that I use is topsoil, and I get sharp sand. I also add the white little flaky things that you see, that is perlite, and I add some osmocote into it to add nutrients to the soil. So it's already topsoil, which already has compost and whatnot in it, and it has perlite, sharp sand for drainage, for proper drainage, and osmocote, right? So I mix that up good and proper. Now, what I'm going to tell you again, this is the first time that I am doing a potting like this with this styrofoam. So this is the first time that I'm attempting to do this. So this is the first excuse. This is a first for me, right? And trial and error business. If it works for me, right, I estimate that it's going to work for you. Now, while we're potting up this week, I'm going to talk to you all and be quite honest with you all. I am no expert at this, not by a long shot. And quite frankly, I lost plenty plants in attempting to get knowledge about these plants. I looked at a lot of videos when we had a haul. I also added to my dirt cinnamon. What does cinnamon do? Cinnamon, right? Bearing this in mind, cinnamon acts as an antifungal, right? So all the cut points that you have, all the cut points there, your desert rose, the edges, even though I left it to dry out and to callus over, to heal over, all the cut points to heal over properly, I'm still going to add some cinnamon to my dirt so that if there is any fungus or anything of the sort, the cinnamon will aid in preventing that from getting to the plant and making sure that my plant stays fungus free. Right? So cinnamon, take note of this, guys. Cinnamon acts as an antifungal, and I still have to do some research on it, but they also say that cinnamon helps to prevent ants. Ants don't like it at all. So you could possibly look into getting some cinnamon. So I'm going to add some cinnamon to my soil mix. And I'm going to add some more osmocote to my soil mix. Windy. I gotta be careful because my heart can fly away. Things can fly away. Everything can fly away. So I have added, if you can see properly, I've added cinnamon and more osmocote to my soil. I'm going to mix. And this is what works, has worked so far for me. I tend to look at things from a practical standpoint. Money don't grow on trees. Not rich, but we like the little plants and whatnot. Right? Money doesn't grow on trees. So you have to find ways. To maintain your hobby without it busting your pocket. So things like cinnamon, you get that in the grocery, sharp sand, you pass by a hardware and you buy a bag of sharp sand. The topsoil, the guys and them must be, as I said in the last video, guys and them must be going around selling the sharp sand, the topsoil, or you could go to places like Price Mart or nurseries or any one of those plant shops and purchase the soil. Now, with those places, you would get ready mixed soil. You could get the ready mixed soil, or you could purchase your own individual components and make the soil. So it's like you buy a ready-made cake, or you make your own cake. It's up to you. The choice is yours. As we're going through this, what has to happen, what I did not say, or what I did not take into consideration, but good thing I have this little stick here with me. I need to be able to keep the roots within the grooves in the pot. Right? I need to be able to keep them in the grooves within the pot. And make sure that they form the spread that I want. Right? So I'm going to place them into the grooves. Now, I'm going to bring the camera up so that you could see how low the dirt is. Right. I think I'm going to raise the dirt a little bit higher. I think that yes, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it a little higher, right? And I'll be able to place it, but not too high, because I want to be able to cover these over, cover the roots over, so that they heal properly. Because healing healing properly and being able to give me new feeder roots is the real goal, is the main goal. We don't want to kill the plant. That is not what we want to do. We want for it to be able to grow, right? So I'm going to place, and you have to forgive me because I am new to the videography thing. Thank God for a plant stand. Give me a plant stand. Thank God for a phone holder, phone stand, where you can be hands-free with that. But this is something that I need to perfect because I don't want to tie it down and damage the roots, because these roots are very easy to damage. So I don't want to tie it down and damage the roots. What I want to do is to be able to place it in the dirt and make sure that it stays where I place them, in the grooves. If you hear additional stuff, I apologize for that, as the neighbor playing some Sunday music. Right. Now what I'm also doing is when I place the plate into the pot, I'm creating a mound. That mound is to help encourage the root spread. So I'm going to place the plant on top of the mound and the roots will be going down. Right? So you could see the tip of that mound there. This is no pretty work. Create a mound as center as possible. Put it down. Make sure that all the roots, and wind it down a bit. Make sure that all the roots are basically inside. Now, if any one of the roots is not properly tucked inside, this is the point where I get to tuck them in and make sure that they are all facing down and getting into the dirt. So winding it down, making sure that everybody is down. Take this, I'm going to do my best to neatly cut a piece of it. Without cutting my hand, because this knife sharp. Right, so that will take care of that one, because he was pushing a little bit to the side. I have another one here that needs a little help. So I'm going to cut. And these are the little sticks that you get. You could get chopsticks and whatnot. As I say, you use the things that you have available to you, and you use the things that work with your pocket. Right? Use what works with your pocket. So that doesn't work. When I put some dirt on that, I assume that it will. So now, I place And as I said, this is my first attempt at this. Right, this is my first attempt at this. Maybe I should put a longer. Maybe I should put a longer rod, a longer piece of stick. Against the okay, so let's see how this looks. As you can see, my attempt at creating a radial root is so far so good. So what I just did, I just lowered the camera just a little so that you'd have a better view of this. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to fill the pot with dirt and make sure that I'm going to use my pencil as a chopstick to make sure that the dirt gets all between the roots and whatnot. So I'm going to grind this down just a smidgen more to make sure that all the roots make contact with dirt and they're not tangling up in any way, because we don't want them to be tangling, right? That is not what we want. We don't want them to be tangling at all. We want them separated. Living. So, I am now placing the dirt and filling up the pot. Maybe I should use smaller. Because I'm making quite a bit of mess. But that's okay. That's part of the thing. So when I finish doing this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the same pencil, right? And just to make sure that we have soil in all the right places. I'm going to drive the pencil down and probably ring it around just a bit to ensure that the soil gets between all of the roots and we don't have any air pockets. Right? Air pockets are not necessarily the best thing. Not necessarily. They are not good for your root system. Yes, they need oxygen, but they need oxygen through. They get the oxygen through the water, through the soil and whatnot, but air pockets, I believe, could cause root rot. What I will do some investigation and make a note of that so that I can add some more, give you some more information. As I say, I'm no professional at this. I started liking plants or plant-related things during the pandemic, when the pandemic started. And what I am interested in is learning how to do bonsai. So what I have been doing, I've been teaching myself how to do bonsai. I joined the Trinidad and Tobago Bonsai Society because this is where I am from. I am from Trinidad, Twin Island of Trinidad and Tobago. And I formed a society, the Bonsai Society, and I joined the Bonsai Society. But when I joined the society, it was the pandemic, so obviously they weren't doing any classes. But I made friends, and making friends brought a lot of knowledge, and I looked at a lot of videos on YouTube. Now the thing is, there are a lot of videos on YouTube on plants and whatnot, but this is something that you all have to take into consideration. You need to understand your own environment and what works in your environment, what works for you, right? You can't, because I was, in all honesty, when I first started, I started to follow things that people were talking about in their countries. So I looked at Nigel Saunders talking about things in Canada. I looked at the Bonsai Supply talking about things in Miami. I looked at a guy, what is his name, boy? Dot Base Camp, an Indian fellow doing desert roses in India, right? More on the bonsai standpoint and really experimenting with them. And there's also another gentleman, Asian gentleman, Chinese or whatever the case is. I'm not sure if it's what country he hails from. His English is a little bit on the limited side, but his information was good. And what I did, I eventually started to adopt certain things that would work here in Trinidad and Tobago, in the Caribbean, in this part of the Caribbean. What we do have, plain talk by manners, what we do not have akidama and all these things. And if we do have akidama and these things, they are probably very expensive. I personally can't afford to buy them too. Right? So I am using what I have available to me. Right? And I am adding and just topping up with some dirt as while I was talking to you, what I would have been doing, I would have been pressing down to make sure after I use the chopstick pencil, aka the pencil, I would have been pressing down to make sure that the dirt has reached between all of the holes and whatnot. Any spaces would be covered, and dirt is roots of this has gotten all between the roots and everybody covered. Right. So I will wet this, give this a watering shortly. But before we go on to giving this a water, let us move on to planting and cutting. Now this cutting, as I said, this plant would have given mature branches, or the branches would have been left long enough to mature somewhat before they would cut back. And when I cut back, this is not from this particular plant though, this is from another one that I have there. I would have cut back the mature branch because I want to create that canopy type look on my trees on my desert roses. I have several desert roses that I've been doing several things with, and I want to create the canopy type look, not with all of them, but with some of them. And for the more mature ones, if I could create a higher, for the more mature ones, for the bigger desert roses, yes, I want to create a canopy, but not necessarily low down. You know, some will be high. So if you notice, this fellow, he had 2 branches here that I would have cut. And from those 2 branches, I got these. As I am doing the repotting, I remove the leaves. So what it will do, as it is now in dirt, it will concentrate, not on trying, if I left all of the leaves, not on trying to keep the leaves alive, but it will concentrate on rooting, right? So it will put all of its energy into survival and giving me new feeder roots, right? So this is the cutting. Where did, and just like that, this is the pot I'm going to use. Here the pot ran away for a second there because of the wind. I'll put it inside here. So to pot this, I cut this and I let this dry out for a few days, a week. And the reason I let it dry out for a week is because I have to work, and I don't have every day, all day to see about plants like other people, right? Some of the other people who put up videos, they have time. This is their livelihood. This is not my livelihood. This is my hobby. I like what I like learning, you know, and as fast as I learn something, I thought that I could share whatever knowledge that I gain from my exploits, you know. So I have no qualms in sharing some of my failures at all. You know, if I do something now and it fails, I don't have a problem with sharing it, because that is being real and realistic. You're not going to win all the time. You're not going to win all the time, you know, but this is my journey with regards to plants, and I am sharing it, and I hope that you all enjoy it. Share it with your friends, you know, like, subscribe, leave comments. I'd be able to answer your comments, you know. If you have questions in your comments, I'll be able to answer. And if I don't know something, I have no shame in saying that I don't know, but I can find out. So what I just did was that I just cut a ring around where the new roots are going to come out from, right? With that, I'm going to apply a little rooting powder. Right? So I apply my rooting powder, and I'm just going to rest this down nice and neat right here to not fly away. And I'm going to fill the pot with date. Pot filled with date. I'm going to stick this into the date, and I'm going to squeeze the date around it. Right? When I squeeze the date around it, I will make sure that the plant is secured firmly in here. Right? My next step, simple steps. This planting cuttings has always been a hit and miss with me. In recent time, it seems to be hitting. So this is what I do. So I plant it, and I'm going to get some water, and I'm going to water them. I'm not going to soak down the plant. I'm going to get a light wet, very light. And then I'm going to place both plants in a nice shaded area until I see new growth. I tried plenty plants. I killed a few. I got junipers. That didn't work for me at the time because I did not know enough to know how to treat with it. I went in hot and hurry. I wanted to try bonsai. As soon as I bought it, I went and I take it out and I wash out the roots because that is what they were doing. That is what one guy was doing in the States, or in Canada, sorry. And the plant dead, and dead. I watched my money walk away. These, however, desert roses. So I had to pause there for a second. Yeah, desert roses, because and here they start back up again. Sorry about the noise with the neighbor's dogs. But you have to get plants that work for you. You have to get plants that suit your time, that work well with your time, and that work well with your spacing. And you also have to get plants that work well with your lighting system. So let's say you're in a spot where you don't get much sunlight. You need to get plants that don't require sunlight right through. And let's say that you're in a spot that gets a lot of sunlight, not much shade. You have to get plants that could take that kind of licks, that could take that sunlight. You also have to make sure that your soil is draining as freely as much as possible. Not necessarily all soils need to be draining as much as possible. You need to know what plant you're working with. If the plant likes a lot of water, obviously your soil would reflect that. So it will always maintain levels of moisture. But if the plant doesn't like a lot of water, then you need to add things that will take away the amount of water when you water it, that it will drain freely. And the plant will be good, and you good, and everybody good. Alright, so that's all for today. Thank you for sitting with me on repotting these 2 desert roses. See you again very, very soon. This is Shellon from Potting with Shellon. And as I said before, like, share if you like the information that I am giving here. Put a thumbs up, like it, share it with your friends, comment, let's have a conversation. And in this pandemic, be safe, guys. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed. Bye.